Step one more inch and you'll regret it. That's all I said. She froze mid-stride, one high heel buried in my damp grass clipboard trembling in her manicured hand. The sprinklers hissed around us, sunlight cutting through the mist. Karen Blake, HOA President Queen of Maple Creek, wasn't used to anyone talking to her like that. She pointed her pen at me like a dagger. "You don't tell the HOA where to walk, Mr. Thompson." Then she waved to her driver. The silver SUV rolled straight across my lawn tires, sinking deep, leaving black scars across the earth. I didn't yell. I didn't chase. I just watched the mud sling up her fenders and thought, that's the last time she crosses this line. I'm Marcus Thompson, retired electrician, husband homeowner, and apparently the newest enemy of Maple Creek's HOA. My wife Sarah and I bought this corner lot for the quiet, the trees, the smell of morning coffee on our porch. We didn't know that peace came with a queen who ruled every blade of grass. Karen Blake. Polished hair, pearl earrings, posture sharp enough to slice glass. Her smile never touched her eyes. The first time she knocked on my door, she called me neighbor like it was an insult. "The board has received complaints," she said, glancing at my freshly mowed yard. I looked at the muddy tire tracks her SUV had carved through my lawn and asked, "Complaints from who?" "Yourself." She didn't answer, just smirked, turned and stepped back onto my grass as if to prove a point. The message was clear: she could do whatever she wanted. That night I found a paper taped to my mailbox. Violation, improper ground maintenance. Fine $150. Signed Karen Blake. The paper was light, but the threat behind it was heavy. This wasn't about grass. It was about control. 3 days later, another envelope, no stamp, no return address, was shoved under my door. Remove the unauthorized barrier within 48 hours or face community action. I didn't have a barrier, not yet. But apparently she'd already planned her next move. That same night, my camera pinged an alert. 2 figures in dark clothes sneaking across my lawn, pulling up my property stakes and replanting them closer to my porch. I watched in silence, heart pounding. It wasn't vandalism, it was precision theft. Legal on paper, criminal in intent. When morning came, I measured it myself, 6 feet of my land gone. By noon, Karen's silver SUV slid up again. Window down, smile smug. "Everything looks better now," she said. I lifted my phone. "Smile, President Blake. You're standing on evidence." For the first time, her grin cracked. That photo was the first fracture in her empire. 2 mornings later, I got a letter summoning me to an HOA conduct hearing. Aggressive behavior toward board members. I almost laughed. The meeting room reeked of perfume and printer ink. Karen sat in the middle of the long table, 3 board members flanking her like backup singers. "Your hostility has caused tension in the community," she began. I leaned forward. "You mean the hostility of people driving through my yard?" A murmur rippled through the room. Her smile froze. "If you continue to make false accusations, the board will consider disciplinary action," I said quietly. "You mean like owning my house?" She leaned closer, voice low. "Enjoy your little patch of grass while you can. The HOA always wins." I walked out without another word. But something changed on that walk back home. I wasn't going to fight her with anger. I was going to fight her with precision. That night I pulled out my old electrician's blueprints. Revenge, I realized, could look a lot like engineering. Saturday morning I drove to Tony's Hardware. The smell of sawdust and metal hit me like memory. Tony looked up and grinned. "Marcus Thompson retired." "Huh? What are you building now?" I said. "Boundaries," he laughed. "You planning a party or a war?" "Maybe both." By noon, my truck was filled with motion sensors, floodlights, conduit, and more wire than most shops carried. I spent the entire day digging, wiring, sealing every joint, every cable buried clean beneath the soil. By sunset, my lawn looked untouched. But beneath it lay a system designed to teach trespassers a bright, unforgettable lesson. At 7:05 a.m., sharp right on schedule, Karen's SUV rolled around the corner. Tires touched my grass. Click. A chain of light exploded across the yard, dazzling white. Karen slammed her brakes, shielding her face. I raised my coffee mug. Morning, President Blake. Beautiful day for boundaries. The next day, another alert. Karen, dressed in black workout clothes, was out there kicking at the sensors like she was fighting ghosts. She didn't realize the camera had night vision. I uploaded the footage to our neighborhood group chat with one caption: testing the HOA's new fitness program. By noon, the neighborhood was howling with laughter, memes, comments. Even people who'd never dared oppose her before were chiming in. I thought that might end it, but Karen didn't lose quietly. That afternoon, a city inspector knocked on my door, clipboard shaking in his hands. Anonymous complaint, he said. Something about commercial-grade wiring without a permit. I smiled. Come on in, I'll show you what legal looks like. He crouched, tested the line, 30 volts max. Safe, low voltage, fully compliant. Seems fine, he mumbled. I crossed my arms. You play golf, Inspector. He blinked. What's that supposed to mean? Just wondering. I've seen you at Millbrook Country Club. That's the one run by Derek Whitmore, right? He froze. Derek Whitmore, Karen's husband. HOA, treasurer, city contractor. The inspector's face drained of color. He packed up fast, mumbling something about follow-up checks. When he left, I looked at the signature on the inspection order, D. Whitmore. Not favoritism, corruption wrapped in official letterhead. That night I sat at my kitchen table logging every detail, names times footage. Every current leaves a trace. And I was going to trace this one back to the source. Then came the crash. At exactly 7:05 a.m., I heard it. Thud. Metal on concrete, tires screeching. I ran out. Karen's silver SUV was half buried in my lawn, the front bumper folded like paper against a new concrete marker I'd installed inside my property line, perfectly legal, perfectly visible. She stumbled out, shaking with rage. You did this on purpose. This is entrapment. I held up my phone. That's a safety post 8 inches inside my line. Want to see the survey? Her voice cracked. You'll pay for this. I nodded at the blinking security camera. I think your insurance will. Within 15 minutes, 2 police cruisers arrived. The officers watched the footage, checked the maps, measured the line. One turned to her and said, Ma'am, this structure is compliant. You've been trespassing. Silence. Then Karen's face broke, not the calm mask she always wore, but something raw, humiliated. The story spread through Maple Creek like wildfire. Photos of her crumpled SUV hit every neighborhood chat. Someone even made a meme, her car half buried in my grass, with the caption, Community access denied. Neighbors who'd stayed silent for years began to talk. They came to my porch with coffee and stories, unapproved fees, threats, hidden fines, lost appeals. The HOA had been bleeding the community dry under Karen's rule. 2 days later, a reporter showed up. Mind if I ask about your dispute with the HOA, she said. I handed her a folder, photos, footage, documents, everything. The next morning, the headline read, Retired electrician outsmarts corrupt HOA. By noon, half the board had resigned. Derek Whitmore was on leave from his city contracts. The HOA office sat locked and dark. The queen of Maple Creek had fallen. For a while, I just stood on my porch, coffee in hand, staring at the quiet street. It wasn't victory I felt. It was relief, the kind that seeps in after years of tension finally snap. But even then, part of me wondered, was I the crazy one all along? The stubborn old man fighting grass wars? There were nights I almost believed her that maybe I'd pushed too far. Maybe I should have just let it go. Then I'd walk outside, see those deep tire scars healed over by new green grass, and remember peace without boundaries isn't peace. It's surrender. A few weeks later, investigators uncovered what we'd all suspected. Derek Whitmore had falsified property surveys for years, shifting lines, stealing inches, feet, even yards from homeowners across the city. What started as a battle over a lawn turned into a citywide scandal. Karen disappeared. Her house sold at auction. Maple Creek's HOA collapsed under its own corruption. Neighbors who used to avoid eye contact now stopped by to talk. Some even smiled. Out of the wreckage, we built something new, the Homeowner Justice Fund. A handful of us who'd been bullied by bad boards started helping others fight back. Sarah planted red roses around that concrete marker. She called it the line that fought back. Sometimes I still replay the footage of that crash, not out of spite, out of memory, to remind myself how easy it is to give in to stay silent, and how dangerous silence can be. A new HOA chair stopped by once, a young woman named Lena, nervous smile, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Thompson," she said, "you're kind of a legend around here. People call that post of yours the marker." I laughed, handed her a coffee. "Just remember one thing, Lena, respect boundaries. They're what keep good neighbors standing." As she walked away, I looked at the concrete post, solid, weathered, ringed with roses. The sun caught its plaque. "Private property. Please respect boundaries." I smiled. Some lines aren't meant to divide people. They protect what's worth keeping. Because in the end, justice doesn't always come from a courtroom. Sometimes it's poured by hand 5 feet deep and built to last forever.